I think I've perfected my iPhone vlogging setup.
Oh, perfect.
Of course, for me, my form of vlogging is a little bit different than the traditional form of vlogging, but I still think that there are some things to be learned about the gear setup here, right? So I've made the case before that I think that the iPhone is one of the #1 vlogging cameras out there, right? Probably rivaled by the DJI Osmo, first and foremost. I've also made the case that the future of competition between the DJI Osmo and other cameras in the space is going to be on the iPhone. I have used my iPhone for the entire life of my vlog channel on coverage. And I have gone back and forth. In the very beginning, I was using it because it was the only like high quality video camera I had anymore. Back in the day, I got rid of a lot of my video cameras and I started using one. I was like, oh, this is really good.
What year was that?
That would have been 2023. Yeah. And I pulled, it might be 2024. I pulled out my iPhone 14 at the time and was using my iPhone 14 Pro with the 3 lenses on there. It was very good. It did a great job. It was like one of the kind of purple regular size iPhone 14 Pros. I throw it on Joby Gorilla Pod and
Fun
record
fact,
myself.
that's what I use right now still.
iPhone 14 Pro? Mm-hmm. It's a great camera. I mean, I'm telling you, like I didn't even second guess using it as a video camera. The only thing that it was limited for me was the audio. I had to be close to the audio. So, in fact, one of my early videos, I hopped on the bus and I was just recording myself on the bus and sat down on my former college's campus and just recorded with my camera next to me. And that was the first video that blew up for me, right? Blew up. I mean, it was like a few thousand views, but it was a big deal for a brand new channel. Then that spring, I decided Apple released the year before the iPhone 15 Pro. And it was a big deal for video for a couple of reasons. The first one was that they had improved the zoom lens on the iPhone. They had gone from 3x to 5x. Now, some people didn't like the fact that they got a little bit more reach. But for me, as someone who has a background in videography, I actually loved the ability to change lenses that was that drastic on my thing. And you'll notice if you watch my channel, a trademark form of my channel is to shoot from really far away and get a lot of zoom. I was just playing with my iPhone's camera basically, and that's the reason I do that. Of course, I also needed a mic to make that work as well. But the other reason, the most important reason I got it, was that they added a couple of major features on the iPhone 15 Pro. One of which will explain the setup that I have right now, and the other one will explain kind of why I still shoot with iPhone rather than aiming for other cameras. So the first one is that they added USB-C to the iPhones. Big deal, because what that allowed you to do is plug in external hard drives, plug in the standard kind of plugins for things like the DJI mic and things like that, and use a standard set of peripherals that you might use on any other device directly on the iPhone. Now, we'll come back to that in a second. The other one is that Apple added a bunch of pro video recording features, including recording in what they call ProRes log. You're familiar with ProRes log?
It's like where it's raw.
Yeah, it's basically like it's kind of like muddied out and things like that. For me, because that's part of the appeal of my channel, I think to some people, I'm doing color grading in post and things like that. Definitely don't recommend that everybody does this type of thing, but it gives me creative flexibility for someone who has, decade
You can
plus
have like
of
a
experience.
theme and a feel to it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just kind of a way to add a little bit of spice to my videos, right? So I love those things. I never upgrade off cycle. I never buy my phones outright, but I did that year because I knew I was going to be using my iPhone so much to record, and so I did it. But here's what I found out when I was using the iPhone 15 to do those things. Number one, when you record in ProRes log, it eats up disk space like nothing else. Like literally a minute of video can be like 15 gigs sometimes. It's crazy. And I'm recording like 30-minute videos sometimes. And so I got the bigger storage size on the phone, but it still wasn't enough. So that was one problem. The second one, like I already alluded to, was that I wanted an ability to use a microphone other than the iPhone microphone, especially because I wanted to shoot from a far ways away. And so I needed at least 2 key peripherals on my phone in order to make it a good vlogging setup for me. The first one was the ability to attach the DJI mic, which is just, I think, far and away the best kind of easy to use, most flexible creator microphone right now. I think you'd probably agree with that, right? And they also have even newer ones that are like a mini and a mic 3. I don't know the entire lineup, but there's some really good products out there right now.
They're getting really small and really capable.
Yeah, in fact, I should probably upgrade it because when I put the microphone on my chest, it kind of droops everything down. The second thing that I needed was an external hard drive to record to. And so what I did is I picked up one of my old SSDs and I kind of plugged it into the back of my phone, and I immediately realized there's no way to hold this thing on here. About the only thing I could do is put some tape on the back of my phone to hold it to the back, right? Because if you imagine, there's a cord coming out of the bottom of your phone, and then you've got this big kind of, relative to your phone, almost the size of your phone, honking sort of SSD on the back that's kind of like flopping all over the place because it's not held in by anything. So there are solutions to this, right? So I want to do this because I was recording, because it allows you to record out via USB-C to those hard drives. And the solution back in the day was a specific mount for your phone for the SSD. Now, because I had the iPhone 15 Pro Max, this was the kind of beginning of the true Pro camera accessory modules, accessories for the iPhone. And so what they released at the time, there was another company called Beast Cage. They released this thing, I think it was just called the Beast Cage, basically. They'll let you put your iPhone in there, and it gave you traditional cold shoe mounts, and I forget the size of the screws, but screw mounts and things like that. So I could put my phone in there. It would give me some buttons on the sides. It gave me a clamp on the back that was reconfigurable. I put my SanDisk SSD in the back there. And then it also let me mount my DJI mic on the top, and then connect it all with a USB-C hub that was all running into my phone. It was a crazy looking kind of it was beastly. It was the Beast Cage looking setup. In fact, when we were in New York last year, I walked around Central Park and I got like 10 questions about what I was carrying because it was such a weird looking thing. So it stood out, to say the least. It also lets you, by the way, plug it into a traditional quick release mount, so you can put it on a tripod. I'm not going to lie to you. That setup was so unwieldy that it definitely prevented me from making like 3 or 4 videos last year, which was a huge lesson for me. And I should have, you've told me this from day one, that you got to simplify the process. I was going too far on the production side at that point. It was preventing me from recording.
Was that the punchline?
That's the punchline of that story. But the real punchline is what I've replaced it with, because I still record on my iPhone. I just upgraded to iPhone 17 Pro. Back to the regular size. So it doesn't fit in the Beast Cage anymore, by the way. That's a lesson to learn about recording with your iPhone. But what I've done is I've simplified everything down. I just use a Joby GorillaPod with their phone clamp. It's a decent phone clamp. I like how hefty it is. It does the job. It feels very Casey Neistat-like when I'm vlogging, because I'm holding that Joby. I then got the key piece, which I think was missing at the time, which is the thing I want to talk about today, that gave me the unlock to use my iPhone casually as a vlogger, which is the Lexar 1TB Professional Go USB 3.2 Gen 2 Portable SSD with hub. Crazy sounding name. Basically what it is it's a tiny little SSD that's about the size of the bottom quarter of your phone, and it's the exact width of the bottom of your phone. And there's no cords out of it. It just has a little, if you imagine like the little USB-C plug on the end, it just sticks straight out of it, and you can just plug it right into the bottom of your phone. It's a dream, because all I do is I throw it in there and I start recording and I'm good to go.
Does it act as a battery too?
You can plug things into it, but it does not act as a battery. But that's crucial, because what it does is also has a hub, and it lets you plug it into that hub. And then what you can do is you can plug in the DJI mic on the top. And so for me, I can quickly configure my phone for whatever the setup is that I need at that moment in time. And I have 3 or 4 different setups that I commonly use depending on the shot that I'm getting, basically. So it's still complicated, but for me on my channel, it has vastly simplified the process, and it actually is literally, I'm not joking, led to me uploading more this month than I think I have in the past like 6 or 7. So for me, simplifying it down, you're right, is the true punchline. But the Lexar Professional USB-C hub thing that they have is a very good product overall. It's super simple to use, and they've definitely thought about creators and the design of that product overall.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up the complexity stops you from creating. I've had people even judge my type of content and called it quote unquote cute. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, just because it's very amateur compared to high production. And I sent this person a video that's actually in their niche, right? It was on my channel, but competes with their niche or the people they're trying to reach. And It's got like 160,000 views now, more than this person's channel average, whatever. And I said, hey, quote unquote, cute works sometimes, right? And this is like a year and a half after this video came out. And I remember that's he called it cute. And the point I was trying to make is in the midst of trying to be professional, high production, have the crispy quality content, sometimes you lack the reps needed to get to the thing that we're all trying to do, whether it's amateur hour on my side as a vlogger or high production professional on the other side, which is we're trying to reach people and get views. That's why the iPhone 17 Pro is really groundbreaking, because Judy's camera actually broke completely. Well,
really?
Like, it's like going black. You can't even see the LCD screen.
Wow.
And it's the same week as her new purchase, the iPhone 17 Pro. And she says, I could do everything with this thing.
Really?
No accessories, no hubs, no batteries, no hard drives, no cages, no nothing, okay? So it's a note to you and any other creators that when somebody like her who needs it to be super simple, this is why, think about this, how old school it is to still use a consumer camera, a actual like Canon point and shoot G7X. You would almost think like, oh, that's super old, but it was reliable, simple. In fact, you know what Casey did to the production side, he probably also did to the gear side. How many people holding those Joby setups in 2015 are even using that? Judy is literally using the exact camera she's using, right? When I say exact model camera that she was using 10 years ago, because when she settles on something, it means it's simple enough to be sustainable and not overthinking and create content, hence the daily vlogging. So I believe right now, to your credit, we're on the cusp of the newest thing. So the Osmo took over the last 4 years.
Yeah.
The iPhone 17 Pro, I think, will take on the next things. And her only complaint last night was, how do I balance this on a Coke bottle? She did a vlog the other day where she had her Canon G7X on a Topo Chico bottle or something like that. And it was like in our hotel room. It was being balanced like that. And the iPhone, she goes, I wonder how. I was like, no, you're going to have to get a stand. But even a stand, you'd have to have something bigger than that. It's just because the camera had a flat surface on the bottom, flat enough that you could just set it if it's just balanced, right? So it's definitely, I think, the Osmo killer in a lot of ways, because the Osmo still, compared to a phone, it's a little cumbersome.
Yeah.
And I do believe a little bit of the whole Casey Neistat challenge happened, which is like, it's cool, it's got the trap on everything, but if you're not really committed as a creator, you might not use it very often. It just like stays on the shelf, never been charged again, and never use it. And then guess what you use? Your phone, right? But now the phone is so good, the iPhone 17 Pro, you don't need to buy the Osmo anymore. So the people that will use the Osmo will be more like me, like enthusiasts that love all those other functions. And even with the cumbersome nature of like putting it in my fanny pack and having to charge 2 different things and bring all different pieces, it's worth it for me. But when the average person, and that's what's funny, Judy's not an average creator, but she is the average person in terms of like convenience. The iPhone 17 Pro is all you need. And we've been using just in the weekend, and we can see it in both in the recording and the actual final footage and all the different functions within the phone that don't require all the bells and whistles.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say I recorded my first video fully with the iPhone 17 Pro, and it is beautiful to shoot in. Like, you can get amazing shots with almost no effort. And I mean, obviously, I like just walk you through my crazy setup, so I'm putting some level of effort into it. But also, I've done some just like traditional, straight out of the main camera app vlogging type stuff, and it looks really, really good. It's amazing.
I think there's one more thing I'd say though. Why you think that, and it's significant you saying that. I think the world has gotten used to iPhone quality.
Well, and also think about what people are watching. I know we talk a lot about the TV. A lot of people are watching on their phone in the first place.
Yeah, on their phone. But even on the TV, it's 1080. It's 4K. So it's good enough. It's crispy enough. But you know what? when she said, "Oh, we might not need a VOD camera," I was the one that said, "No, actually, we should," because there's something about the bigger glass that no amount of processing can make up for. So I still think the glass is important. It's funny, like I'm the one on the other side, like, hey, you should be of all people using a DSLR because it has all the things that you need, right?
That's
you
true.
don't need a hard drive because you have an SD card in it. But my point is, I think the world and even creators, because again, that creator that said that's Q, he's like, I'd rather have the views than have the quality of content. So we're getting like, we're accepting it, and it's gotten good enough to where, like, say you were the DSLR guy or the Casey Neistat setup or the Osmo setup, you're like, it's good enough. Everyone says it's good enough. We're off to the races now.
Yeah, and just one thing too. I mean, I love the story about Judy putting the camera on top of the Topo Chico because it's a callback to the very beginning of how you guys got your vlogging journey in the first place. Like, it shows you that, I mean, the story that you tell, and maybe I should let you tell it, but I'll give you the first pass of it, is that Judy used to use a set of shoe boxes as her tripod. And it shows you just actually how powerful that was, that it wasn't just something she was doing at the beginning of her career. She still does it today. And there's wisdom in it. And that if you think about my setup, I just described like 5 different pieces that I require before I can like fully record something that I want to do on my channel. She has one, right? I mean, do I have that right? It's just the camera is like the one thing that she uses.
The one thing. She doesn't use a mic. She doesn't even, like, right now, she's like bugging me about the hard drive to take stuff off her laptop.
Wow.
She doesn't even carry that or think about that. I've always been her pack mule in terms of the creator stuff, like all the accessories, right? Even I would load 3 different kinds of tripods just in case, maybe for one shot, she might be okay with me setting it up. But no, the only thing she had is the camera, and the tripod is a good lesson because she can put together things to make a tripod that's around her, but she doesn't have to carry it. She's very mobile. She's very free.
So what does she use on the iPhone then?
For when she sets
to like
it up,
set it down, because it doesn't stand on
she
its
always
side.
uses a G7X. But now if she uses the iPhone, this is why I was saying it for the glass and the zoom capabilities on the G7X. Because the G7X definitely, it has a different look, especially for low light.
Totally.
That's where the glass really commands. But she doesn't set it on anything. So when she needs to set it on something, that's why she has a G7X. The iPhone, right now, what she'll do is she has an iPhone holder. But again, it's only in her bedroom. Whenever it's around, she might use it. And it's even like a burden if someone has to go upstairs. So she'll just set it on the window, but never. I've seen cases, though, where a little tripod thing can come out, but it's not going to stand on a Topo Chico.
No, that's very true. Just to bring us back to the river a little bit, to finish commenting on the Lexar thing that I like, I've learned that editing on an external hard drive is really nice. It makes it so that my computer, I never have to worry about putting things on my computer. I just put my Final Cut projects on there, edit from there. That's all fine and dandy. And I will also shout out, if Judy's interested, these Moft tripods stick to the back of the phone. They're MagSafe, and they let you carry them with you, and they fold out basically so that way you can stand them up. Now you can't stand it on a Topo Chico thing because it's too wide, but you could stand it on a set of books or something like that, and it's really nice.
Is it a battery?
It sticks. It's not a battery, but if you stick it on the back, and you can use it as a tripod. They're really, really cool. Just to like, I just keep it on the back of my phone at all times, basically, because you never know when you're going to want to hold it out and kind of use it as a tripod.
The ultimate iPhone creator setup is a 1 charged battery with a tripod and has the USB-C to USB-C hard drive on it. If you could do all 3 of those, everyone would want that as a creator and it has to stick on the MagSafe.
Yes, exactly. Let's go ahead and get to some follow-up. The first thing I want to bring up is an update on Creator Camp's 2 Sleepy People. That is the movie that Creator Camp has made for a $100,000 budget in 100 days and was premiering across a tour in the West Coast and then a little bit, I think.
At small theaters,
At small theaters. So starting in Seattle, actually, believe it or not, working their way down to California and then actually eventually working their way over to New York. But there's a couple of big updates that have happened. The bottom line takeaway is that they are in 30 theaters now. They are doing a not wide release, I don't think you'd call it, but a kind of medium release across the country. And they're showing across all over the place. And there's a reason for that. And so I'm going to go ahead and quote from Dana Harris Bridson's article at IndieWire. The Austin-based creator collective distribution arm, Camp Studios, signed a 3-piece theatrical deal with Attend Theatrical Marketplace, the Fythian group company that connects filmmakers directly with movie theaters, streamlining the process of booking and releasing films. The first title, rom-com Two Sleepy People, opens November 14th in 20 markets. It's directed by Baron Ryan, who co-wrote it with Caroline Grossman. And then she goes on to say, Creator Camp says its network of 300 digital native filmmakers accounts for over 3 billion annual views. They've already been pressure testing theatrical demand. The film premiered at Creator Camp's flagship Austin event, where 1,000 attendees generated $150,000 in ticket sales. A 4 micro-city tour followed in Seattle, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and New York, averaging $10,000 per screen. So the bottom line takeaways for me are that they made their money back, over $150,000, plus they have a wide release that with a distribution arm that they signed a deal with, and that basically the thing is working. So just wanted to flag that here. I don't know if you have a comment, but it's cool to see YouTubers making it to the big screen and then plan on releasing their film first on YouTube over any other studio. It's pretty amazing.
No other platform, a streaming app. And was this money funded by like an investor? What was it?
The original $100,000. It's a good question. I'll look that up. I know you asked that last time. Maybe we can get some real-time follow-up. Carla or Nuclea, if you guys can look that up for us, we'll ping it in here. I'm just going to keep going. The second thing that I wanted to bring up from last week is that we talked about kind of the most shocking thing that we had learned related to YouTube Shorts. So the big news last week was that YouTube Shorts now accounts for more revenue per watch hour than YouTube longform does. So what that means is that if you look at an hour across the time that everybody on YouTube spends on YouTube Shorts, and an hour, if you just slice it out basically out of the day, of an hour of every time that somebody's watching YouTube long, YouTube is making more revenue. They're pulling more money in from advertisers on Shorts than on longform. This was shocking to me because it flipped the entire kind of script on its head. We always thought that short form monetized worse for the platforms than long form did. Now that script has flipped for YouTube. So the question is, will YouTube start prioritizing shorts more? We kind of thought that maybe, yes, that would be the case. But the real question was, what's the deal for creators? How are creators getting paid, and which one is the better one? Either way. You and I both hypothesized last week that long form was still going to be a better form for monetization for creators because you're accountable to one video. It's a proven method. There's the TV era, so there's a bunch of advertising that's going to be flooding in here soon. But let me kind of give you a quick update, and then I want to kind of hear your thoughts because I know other people have brought this up to you in the last week. So here's what I learned about how YouTube pays out shorts today in 2025. Number one, ads are pooled between all shorts. So if you imagine how you're watching shorts, you watch a short, you watch another short, you watch another short, and then an ad pops up in your feed. Then you watch another, and then another, and then another, and then another, and then an ad pops up in your feed. So how do you split the money that advertiser paid in that one amongst all of the other people that you've watched? Well, what they do is they pool all that money together between all of them. Then what they do, they don't even pay the creator next. They pay the music labels next because music is such a big thing in short form. And then what happens is that the creator pool is then split by view share. I don't even think it's split by watch time share. So you get 45% of that. So you get a split of a split of a split, basically. And there may be even one more layer than that. It gets a little more complicated with YouTube Premium and other things like that, but you are really kind of spread thin across all of the things, and I want to hear your reaction to that.
So much I want to break down here.
Go.
Number one, and I don't want to dive into the details of monetization, but just think about how convoluted this is. You have to make those splits, and specifically the music share one, even if you don't use music. So think about it. If you're somebody that's just a talking head video and you just want to talk to the people, let's say like someone like a John Cortese in Seattle, right? I don't know if he uploads to YouTube Shorts or not. He's somebody that always breaks the news for the Seattle area, hitting hot spots and talk about dope restaurants, clubs, events, whatever. Doesn't need music. So that means, say he has the type of video because he has like a loyal audience that people watch the whole thing. It doesn't matter if they watch the whole thing or not, versus a person that just uses a viral piece of music, right? A song from I was going to say a hip rapper. How old does that sound? A hip rapper. Okay.
Title.
And gets viral. Okay. Doesn't even really have a lot of value or a lot of effort compared to someone like a John who's, got like a lot of, valuable information or whatever. And it takes longer to produce because it's just based off of views, not about audience view duration or length or whatever like that. So on two fronts, you're already losing out.
Yes.
Let's reverse back about why I think this is a bad thing for creators in general. It's good for YouTube, okay? YouTube, like creators, like every other human is, when you make more money from something, you're more likely to do it, okay? It's their business model. Ads are their business model.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, this gets like kind of crazier in terms of its significance. But they're telling you it works, so they're going to really ramp it up, okay? Secondly, the whole breakdown for creators and how they make money from it, it's so convoluted compared to what? On long form, an ad runs, you get some of that ad, it's 45, 55, I believe, pretty straight up, right? You can kind of almost even investigate like, hey, am I getting paid enough, whatever, okay?
Yes, yeah.
It's all in the analytics. But with YouTube Shorts, it's there. How do you even do the analytics? Like, I've been part of a pool like this before. You knew that, right?
I didn't know that.
When Judy was part of a special campaign with a big brand in the early days, one of the big ones, they did this. They had a group of creators and they would pull all the campaign like budget for just these creators. And it was based off of just views. So the trick was just get more views. Well, guess what? Judy got a viral video.
Yes.
So she got this huge payday and everyone else got small paydays. And it was worse. See, it would have been better than the average, AdSense payout, unless somebody got a majority of the views.
Yes.
So Judy went viral, had many videos that like got lots of views. So the payouts were crazy big for her.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it went back to normal life when the campaign was over. So it told me because the views stayed the same.
Yes.
The views stayed the same, though AdSense went down. But during that era where we were part of this pooled campaign of funds, it was really good, okay? So I know how this works. I'm not just guessing this. It's not good for most people unless you're a viral hit. So, okay, I'm going to get back to that, okay? And the third thing is, if they're making more money off of that and it's working for the platform, there's it's highly likely they're going to start running more shorts, which, by the way, tell me if you're watching on your feeds, I am saying 6 and 8 short.
Yeah. Me
result.
too. And by the way, it's the first thing every single time when I open up my
And I've never
YouTube
seen
app.
it before.
Yes.
So before this announcement, maybe for a week, I just didn't notice it. But for sure, I always counted. I was like, how many shorts are they going to show me? So I always like take screenshots, send it to you.
Yes.
Take a note. Now it's 6 to 8. Not always. Sometimes it's 4 still. But like you said, it's always first. Okay. Today, finally, I didn't send it to you. I saw my non-shorts first result, but it wasn't even a long video. It was a playlist.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it was just a playlist.
I've never seen that.
So there's evidence of this actually happening. Okay. Now, why this is bad for the creator? We already talked about the AdSense part. Okay. What about the competition? What's funny is even though the AdSense isn't necessarily going to go up for you, we already know it doesn't pay out a lot for short form creators. This announcement, is it going to motivate creators to come in and make more shorts, or is it going to demotivate?
It will likely motivate them.
Motivate them. So you're going to get even more competition, right?
Yes.
And word's going to get out. I'm getting more views, which hopefully in turn gets you more AdSense, but still it's like pennies compared to long form. But third, what do we talk about? AI.
In what way?
There's more AI content now. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were talking about recommendation.
I don't know this because, of course, they wouldn't announce it. But what if part of them pushing short form is because they know there's more AI content that people are consuming? Just think about how you're swiping through and we don't know what's AI or not. Okay. And they also have their own AI, like video generation platform too. Maybe it's not as good as Sora, but it's getting there. And that's not the point. The point is they know it's coming. So they want to be ready for it. They want to be able to capture all of it. Hence why they're pushing it. And then ultimately, all that goes down to the device.
Yes.
Short form is just better formatted for the phone, no matter what. No matter how much I want people to watch long form on the phone, as much as my vlogs are viewed on the phone, it's vertical. People swipe through. It's cleaner. This is why TikTok is winning on the phone.
Yes.
In general, for short form content, because it's perfectly, and there's no other options. So I really believe that this is not necessarily good for creators, but for short form creators, it gives you an opportunity for more eyeballs because it's being pushed more. But guess what it's going to do? It's going to drive those people that want long form, I think, to other devices, computer, laptop, tablets, and the television. Okay.
Yes.
So long form's not going away, because what happens? Let me ask you this. How often have you like swiped through short form kind of like brain rot sessions?
Oh, a few times a week, honestly.
And have you ever just stopped watching it because you're like, this is too much?
Oh, totally.
That's everyone.
Yes.
Eventually, right? Kids right now are in school. And do you know there's this whole kind of renaissance where kids are like, we know this brain rot is bad for us. Kids, teenagers in high school. Have you heard of this?
That, yeah.
And they're making the conscious efforts like, I'm not going to consume this. Some people are deleting TikTok off. Neutrally, sorry, our resident young person, if you're on here, okay, tell me if this is true. Come on camera. Have you ever heard from friends of yours or people you or like observed this culture, I guess you could say, this behavior of cutting the short form platform altogether, or even just like saying, acknowledging this is not good for me, so I'm going to watch something else?
Yeah. It goes back to like the brain rot thing. A lot of people are getting a little bit jaded about it, and they're actually going back to long form format. So just YouTube and everything. And yeah, like you said, they are cutting out short form content from their life.
Yeah. And he represents the 20 million college students in the country. I don't know how many there are. But my point is that good for a short form creator? Because you know what? Most people don't quit long form. It's so different, right? Like
long form is going to be around forever. I'm just telling you, Ben, it will definitely be around
because
forever.
Also there's different like variations. Short form ultimately, like you said, just becomes a commodity. It's all becomes kind of the same thing. You know how I know this is true? Because I was trying to observe YouTube in a private private viewing window, like so not signed in, okay? And it makes you type in something, okay?
Yes.
So of course, when you type something in, lots of shorts comes up. Oh, actually, I'll tell you exactly what happened. I forgot my phone somewhere. So I was on Judy's old phone.
Wow.
And I didn't want to watch on her thing, right? So I was like, hey, let me just sign in or whatever. First off, same thing. Shorts gets pushed right away. Not long form, shorts, okay? It doesn't know who I am. It knows I searched something, and then boom. It was Taekwondo. I wanted to see Taekwondo content. So then I do click on, not really willingly. I was just like, there's so much short form Taekwondo content. Let me just check one of these out. Normally I would do long form, but also I was like in that kind of brain rot session, okay? I clicked through. You know how quickly it got off of Taekwondo? Like pretty damn quickly.
Oh, totally.
Like after 2 or 3.
Yes.
And all the content was the exact same. It doesn't know who I am. And I know Judy's not watching this content. I know what stuff she likes, what's on her feed. And I was like, wow, this is what the algorithm thinks like the whole wants to see. It's like all the same thing. All the same like background music. You know, there's always those like certain songs that you use. Have you heard the one? Jet 2 Holiday.
Yes,
Have you heard that?
yeah.
Right? Like everyone's using these like
The trends, basically, the trending
things.
sounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, first off, when you get introduced to short form content, shorts or TikTok, this is what you see. And then after you go through everything else you want to watch and like you're researching or searching for, guess what? It goes back to this, I bet you. Like you just end on this brain rot. I was seeing brain rot in its like purest form. It doesn't happen long form.
Yeah.
Because like, you're not going to spend an hour or two on brain rot because that's way too long. You're going to pick something that's good for you. It doesn't mean it's going to be educational, informal, informational, geopolitics or history or calculus. It could just be like a topic, but still, it's a topic that has to deliver value. It's got to be entertaining. It's got to be funny. So, and this can go like from shorter videos, 10, 20 minutes, to 30 to 60-minute videos, to long podcasts, to shows and movies. And this is why short form is going through this interesting phase where it's blowing up. In fact, like YouTube's pushing it more. But I'm telling you, this actually makes long form even more significant because this is going to make brain rot happen faster on YouTube.
Oh, interesting.
That it didn't happen. Oh, that, like it was already happening on TikTok. People are getting off of TikTok, right? You hear more people saying, I'm quitting TikTok. I'm getting off of TikTok. You rarely hear that about YouTube. So people are going to say that about YouTube Shorts. But guess what? When they turn on the TV, oh, let me see what's on YouTube. They're not thinking Shorts because they never watch Shorts on the YouTube. Anyways, that's just my theory. So this is why it's good and bad.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's the natural way of things because what is driving YouTube? Money.
Yes.
It's making them more money. They're like, hey, let's crank it up. And you saw the crank up actually happen in real time. And now the question is, well, what happens to long form? And does it get eaten up by the short form on the device viewing? And then how does it affect what's happening on the TV?
Are you familiar with the term form factor?
Form factor, like what's the form that's best for this, like the fact of this, like
it's basically
or
the form that something takes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So like the people will talk back in the days, there was the form factor of the iPhone. Is it, or the form factor of a phone? Is it like an iPhone where it's a screen, right? And a home button? Or is it like a razor that flips open like an old-fashioned flip phone? Those are all form factors, right?
Form factor is like the physical version of UI, right? User interface.
Basically, yeah. Like what is, and a lot of times they talk about it in terms of something that's physical because it's like they tend to fall in categories. That
Right.
are very
It's like
clear.
the PlayStation controller versus like the Nintendo control. It's a little bit different.
So there's your word of the day, form factor. And I bring it up because what you're talking about is the exact way that people talk about how form factor influences everything else about the behavior of usage of the way that things that are used in terms of tech products. So one example of that is very simple, which is like something like the DJI Osmo or like the iPhone, right? The DJI Osmo is very popular because you hold it the way that your hand is used to holding things, which is gripping it vertically and it pops up just like you would hold like a stick or something like that, like a hockey stick maybe. The iPhone traditionally has always been held the exact same way, vertically. They've always been held up and down, right? This, I think, is one of the most significant things that people do not discuss, especially in the creator world. This is why I make it the term of the day, is the split between TV and mobile form factors. As YouTube grows on the TV, and this is exactly what you were getting at, I'm just highlighting it here, the TV will never flip vertically. In fact, we had creator friends that were guessing for years that the TVs were going to start flipping vertically. I think it's just not ever going to happen because it's not the right form factor for the viewing behavior of the TV. The phone will almost always be vertical. You can always turn it sideways. That's always going to be something you can do. But 99% of the time when you're using your phone, you're going to be holding it in your hand, looking at it up and down. This means that I think that as YouTube gets more profitable on the short side of things, the thing that is going to define viewing behavior more than ever before is the form factor of the device that you're viewing on. And creators don't think about that enough. Creators who are making shorts are going to be viewed on their phone. Frankly, I think that's just bottom line what's going to happen. And by the way, vice versa is always true. YouTube's not going to split out a shorts app. It's just that people are going to be mostly watching shorts on their phones. On the flip side, people who make long form horizontal videos are likely going to be shown on the TV, and they're going to be part of the new movement that YouTube represents, the new TV era of the entire industry, basically the YouTube era, the TV era. So as you create, this is sort of my call to action for creators, think about where you want to be seen and how you want to be seen and where you fit into someone's life based off of those viewing habits, right? If you're the type of person who wants to spend a lot of time with people hanging out at the end of the day and be the one singular focus of that person, or maybe a potential one or two focus of that person for a long period of time, Build your stuff for the TV. Think about what it means. Like when you watch TV, what are you looking for? How does your content reflect that? If you want to be passing by, if you want to be one of the people who's getting lots of volume of content, build for the phone. Think about how, any type of thing you see on TikTok shows up on that side of things. And so more and more, I think that creators should start thinking about things in terms of viewing behavior and in terms of understanding what device their videos are being watched on, more than am I building something that's traditional long form that's going to be viewed on the phone versus something that's like shorts?
I think that's mostly true, but I'll ask you a question that I think that would show that regardless if you think that way or not, you'd still be winning as long as you're creating something valuable that is longer. Have you ever watched a longer piece of content, whether it's a podcast or really long video, and you weren't at home?
Absolutely.
Okay. And will you keep it playing on your phone, even if you're walking and listening to it? Or maybe you're like playing it as like, for a good example would be, say like you're in the kitchen, you don't have a TV in there, you bring your phone over, you're doing dishes and you're letting it play. And then after that, you have to go somewhere, but you're like, oh, this is so interesting. So you let it play on the way to there. All right. And then maybe you're talking to somebody, ordering coffee, and then you finally sit down and now you're waiting for this guy to show up, but he's late, and you just keep that thing playing.
Totally.
And you're using what?
The phone at that point.
Okay. Neutrally, your turn. Neutrally, have you ever, and come on camera, have you ever watched a long piece of content on your phone on YouTube?
Of course.
Okay. Have you ever watched a long piece of content in different places because it was so long you couldn't finish it at that place that you first started, whether it was at home or on the bus or in class? Like you kept it playing, or you pause it on your way to somewhere and then you just pick it up because it's so interesting.
Yes.
So valuable, right? And remember, this is in the midst of you could pick TikTok or YouTube Shorts, but you didn't. Why did you choose to watch or listen to this long piece of content versus choosing TikTok and YouTube Shorts?
It goes back to what YouTube's plan is to get you there, to make you stay there, and to make you come back. And that's
yeah, but why?
But why you? I'm
why
curious about
you?
that
Why
too.
this long video? What was it about this long video that you liked?
It has. I value what the video has.
There you go.
Content wise, more.
And guess what doesn't have that? Short form. TikTok and Shorts, they can't even come close. It's like this.
What you're saying, though, really quickly, they don't have the flexibility to go between the TV, the computer, and the phone, right, is what you're saying?
Yeah, but why? It's because it comes down to this. Have you eaten a fancy dinner before?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. If you eat like a 10-course meal, which I'm sure you've had something like that before, right?
Yeah.
How long does it take?
Oh, hours.
Hours. Let's just call it an hour.
Sure.
Okay.
An
hour. Is there any way the 30-second version of that meal would even come close to the hour experience?
No, in fact, actually, part of the experience is the amount of time I spend with it, I think.
Totally, right? You could say it's the people you're with, it's the drinks you're having between the food. Maybe it's like tasting it when it first comes out on the plate, it's hot, and then by the time the end, all the sauce is ever, so you're just mixing. It's like a whole different experience, right? It's the whole that makes it special, okay? So then say, and guess what? A perfect example of this is Costco samples. How much of a tease is a Costco sample? We love it, right?
Yeah.
When we're out there shopping for Costco, we're shopping for Costco, we're shopping for products. And then like just recently they had chicken salad samples. Like, whoa, some protein? I'm for that. And I've never had the chicken salad samples. I had it, but guess what? What happens after you eat that chicken salad sample?
I want more.
You want more, but you can't because guess what you're doing? You're shopping. They look at you weird. You're only supposed to have one. Maybe you can have two, right? But that's the point. Versus if you actually are at home and have a full chicken salad, chicken salad, you don't have a sample anymore. You have the full serving, okay? That's what I'm saying. It can be one dish, one serving, or it could be a 10-course meal, and you only get that on long form. Short form doesn't give you that ability. Now, what have they done to compete with that? They've upped the length of short form, okay? But why aren't creators doing longer short forms?
There's a whole bunch of reasons.
Yeah, but
why.
there's only one that's
The
most
simplest
important.
one that I can think of is that people, it's not the viewing behavior. People don't sit
No,
there
it's
and
not
watch
even
it.
that.
Oh, tell me. I don't know.
Creators aren't getting paid. See, at one point, the creator got to get paid because they got to run a business, they got to pay the bills, and they've got to make it sustainable. Now, then the other question was like, oh, what about short form brand deals? There's a lot of brand deals. Well, word on the street right now is brand deals are a little bit slow. It's not paying as much. There's a lot of competition. I mean, it's like you went from one battlefield, front to a whole nother one, right? Versus before you got through there and you got a little breathing room and then you could start building a business, you build a brand, like AdSense, brand deals, sell products. With short form, it's just such an ongoing battle forever, okay? So you got to get paid.
Yeah.
Because I actually agreed with Matt. It's Matt who said that the TV would go vertical. And he was the one that also said vertical would be long form too. I actually agree because guess what? We do use our phone to watch long form. But if the creator doesn't get paid, what is the number one thing that all social media platforms get, but YouTube included, especially that all the other stream platforms don't get that we say is their number one advantage?
AdSense?
User-generated content.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
They don't have to produce the shows or the movies, or in the case of, short form, shorts, or
You're talking
long
about
form.
YouTube versus Netflix rather than YouTube versus, yeah.
Well, why is it? Why is it that creators were willing to put stuff onto YouTube to the point where like production studios and Hollywood, they're like, why the heck are these people doing this? They got paid.
Yes.
AdSense was the base. I've said this forever. The reason YouTube has won is because AdSense gives you a little base layer, right? It's like a concession, right? To like doing the thing, but it's a start because the problem with Hollywood is there was nothing like that. How many times do you have a pilot episode, right? Or whatever, you get your first audition and how many auditions to finally get to a point where you kind of get paid. Every actor has a story, right? It's almost like stupid when you hear an actor say, I made a lot of money in my first movie. No, it doesn't happen like that. Well, on YouTube, actually, you can actually get paid. Minimal, right? Because it's not a lot of views, but it's a little bit start, right? That's why a kid is more likely to succeed than somebody that has bills, a family, other priorities to take care of. My point is this, it's all simple. YouTube is very simple in this sense. Yeah, there's other variables, there's nuances, timing matters, but at the end of the day, the reason short form creators don't turn into super long form, even though the platforms give them the ability to, look at TikTok.
Yeah.
I think it's 15 minutes, but you don't really hear of people. Why? Because they're not getting paid. And if they get paid, it's short term or it's a shared pool of funds or whatever. On YouTube, the sky's the limit. In fact, it's even better now. You do a 2-hour episode like I've been experiencing at the hour length, you get more ads. You get paid more. So you're making up for the expense and the time and the effort of making a longer piece of content versus if you did that on short form, guess what? First off, you gotta get put in a pool. And then secondly, music people get paid first. And then you share with everybody. And remember, with long form content, is it always about the amount of views? No. Sometimes you don't get very many views, but you get a core audience that watches the whole thing. So then, your one shared ad with, 10 other creators, if you get more views, you're going to get paid more, right? Your one view on YouTube long form is shared with nobody but YouTube. You get the ad revenue on that. But if you have a really long video and you get, in my case sometimes, 10 to 15 ads, you get all that 100%, but after you pay the gatekeeper, which is YouTube. But you always have to pay the gatekeeper no matter what. In this case, there's just less sharing. In fact, there's no sharing with any other creators. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not a logic person. I'm not a data person, but I'm just like a real life person. But if you look at it logically and you look at it based on the data, why aren't more people doing long form, short form, right? Longer TikToks. Why are they doing now 1 to 3 hour videos? they're getting paid.
I think it boils down to the idea that you on YouTube, when you're doing long form, directly earn the attention that you're going for. In fact, I would say more and more when I think about long form, the idea of views is kind of a pointless metric nowadays. Now, don't get me wrong, you need views to get anything else, right? Getting a click and keeping people watching is important, but I'm going to continue advocating more and more that watch time is the number one thing that you need to pay attention to as a long form creator on YouTube, because Shorts has polluted the game when it comes to view counts overall. I bring this up because we have a course that teaches you how we think you can take advantage the most easily of the big opportunity that YouTube represents. Because it's not just the fact that there's this split between long form and short form. It's the fact that YouTube is the number one streaming platform and the number one platform on the TV overall. This represents the biggest opportunity that has ever been available to people who are posting as creators on YouTube. And we help you take advantage of it at Vlogging Academy. Vlogging Academy is Benji's three-pronged course that takes you through the exact process that he uses to create vlogs using what he calls the new vlogging method. There's three pieces of it. There is a theme for your channel, a topic and takeaway for every video, and the ability to tell the right stories. These three keys are what you need in order to simplify your process more than I have when I've done my videos, but simplify your process and make it so that way you can create as much as you can, learn the YouTube algorithm, and get going and get as close to as you can to getting that watch time, making that AdSense money as fast as possible. We've had hundreds of students take this course, and some of them have been able to keep that consistency up and actually get to the level where they're doing things like paying off car payments or getting brand deals. And we really think that this is the best way to take advantage of the opportunity if you start now, because the opportunity is not always going to be there. So if you're interested, what else should we know about it, Benji?
It gets worse.
What do you mean?
Well, we just said the reason people do long form and super long form now is because it's like a very fair way of getting paid through AdSense on YouTube, and why people will stop, why there's a ceiling, okay? But then there's a lot of people that just keep going on shorts. Why is that? If getting paid is a motivator, right? We know you don't get paid from AdSense, or at least it's not very lucrative, or it's like a convoluted system. Why do people keep doing short form? Why do short form creators still keep creating and like doing one upload to 2 uploads to 5 uploads? And we've heard up to 10 a day uploads. Why would they do that? What's the opportunity there beyond AdSense?
Brand deals.
Okay, let's talk about brand deals.
Yeah.
I'm Mr. Brand Deal. Love it. I've been doing that forever, and it's very lucrative. 7 figures, okay? And beyond, multiple 7 figures. People build a whole business around it. But what have we seen with short form creators and brand deals? They have all done exactly what you said, which you just become a commodity. They have become commercials. When I see brand deals right now, all I see from the brand's perspective, this is a commercial I can download this. I can put it through the ad machine and run it through the same user interface, the same viewing as any other thing. And guess what? It'll say the brand's name on the channel, even though it has the influencer's face in the video. We don't know the difference, but we do. Why? Because there's a little logo that says ad or sponsored. And then guess what you do as a viewer? You just swipe through. So it gets so dang competitive. Right now, this is what I'm seeing. It's so crazy competitive, not just from a short form creator standpoint for regular views, but even the brands. They're just going all volume. They've gotten so used to the creator making them a commercial that is the whole play. It's not about creativity, right?
No.
Well, on long form, it kind of is. But you know what's funny? In my discussions of doing brand deals on long form, even then, I'm seeing my conversations with the brands completely different than 10 years ago. 10 years ago, they really did care about what is your idea or whatever, okay? Because that's all they could do, right? Like they wanted to judge. Now it's like, they're not even like thinking creative idea. They're just like, yeah, we're getting a commercial. Whatever you make, it's going to be a commercial, right? We're testing it against 100 other short form creators, running ads on all of them, and they're just picking the winners. And it might not always be the most influential one, because guess what? The one that maybe doesn't have much influence might be more creative, and that wins on the ad retention side of it. So why do I bring this up? Well, guess if that's the case, and everyone's just a commercial and it's a commodity, then it's like a volume game, right? It's not about the creator anymore. It's about who has the best thing based off of the data. Then you're like, you don't even have identity. And let's not even talk about the fact that nobody even remembers who you are. All short form creators know what I'm talking about. They don't know your name, but they know the video, right? They know the viral hit, but they've never gone to your channel to freaking care about who you are, you know? So that's what I'd say. That's why I mean it's worse. So Vlogging Academy, why that is so timely right now is because it teaches you how to do long form in an easier way through vlogging. But it's like the first step towards all long form. Because if you think about the most successful creators, they all were vloggers at the beginning, even if they didn't call themselves vloggers. Because what is a vlog? It's a video blog, right? It's just a video version of something that you're interested in, that other people are interested in, and then boom, you go to town. Even if it's entertainment, okay? YouTube, what's funny about it is, they shouldn't have called it YouTube, just called it VlogTube, because that's what it was at the very beginning.
Yeah.
YouTube was just, I mean, it's a good name. Like, no, I'm just saying it's more representative of what was going on. Amateur hour stuff that no one really took seriously. But guess what? 20 years later, people watch hours and hours and hours of cute content, and they love it. And it partly is, they're just escaping the short form platforms, even if it's on the same platform like YouTube. They don't watch YouTube shorts, and like Neutrally, they're watching whatever drumming, tutorial from place to place to place, even though they could quickly just get 10 shorts form versions of that thing, because people want the whole 10-course meal, not the Costco sample. I love Costco, but in this case, it's not where you want to be. You don't go to Costco for the meal unless you're getting the hot dog, right? But even the hot dog's not like the 10 course. You get what I'm saying.
If you want to learn about how to take advantage of this big opportunity, you can go to vloggingacademy.com and just learn more. We talk a little bit about what's going on there. We have a little bit of explanation about what it goes on in our course. But really, fundamentally, just know that this is the new vlogging method, and it takes advantage of the biggest opportunity ever. Thanks to the students of Vlogging Academy who help make this show possible. Let's go ahead and move on to the next item of follow-up, which is Netflix taking over the podcast game. Netflix continues to want to take down podcasts to take over the podcast game from YouTube. YouTube quietly took over. And so let me just read a little bit about what happened lately, because Netflix is getting serious about video podcasts. This is from Lucas Shaw at Bloomberg. He says, Netflix is looking to commission original video podcasts and plans to tweak its product to ensure that shows get better promotion in the app, according to several people familiar with the company's plans. It's the clearest sign yet that the streaming service is getting serious about podcasts as a new form of programming. The company has reached out to talent and their representatives about making original shows that would be exclusive to the service. The streaming service is also looking to license existing shows from networks. This mirrors Netflix's approach to TV and film programming. It licenses extant hits and funds original exclusives. He goes on to say Netflix will launch a marketing campaign to support the podcast and make adjustments to its app to ensure that users know how about them, said the people who asked not to be identified because the plans are still being developed. The company is going to adjust the user interface for its mobile app next year, form factor, including the addition of vertical videos, changes that aren't specific to podcasts. Vertical videos in the Netflix app. This is a low-cost experiment. Netflix is signing one-year deals, many worth less than $10 million, as my colleague Ashley Carmen reported. And that is the update on Netflix podcasts. So they're taking it seriously. They want to expand. They want originals. They're playing the exact same playbook that Spotify did beforehand. And I guess Rogan wasn't enough. The Ringer wasn't enough. They're really going in. They're trying to make these exclusive, not accessible to YouTube. I'm curious about your thoughts about this because we've kind of kept this heartbeat going a little bit, and I think it continues to press on some of the common pain points that we talk about.
You want to know why YouTube won the podcast game silently?
Tell me.
Because they didn't spend no money on it.
That's exactly right.
You know, the reason there's this big announcement is because Netflix is probably spending a lot of money. They're paying people, right? They're licensing these podcasts, or maybe they're going to in the future help produce people's. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a celebrity out there is like, hey, I'm making a huge announcement. I've been in the movie game for my whole life, but now I'm going to get into the podcast game. I'm partnering up with Netflix. He's going to not say like, I'm getting $10 million to start this. YouTube didn't have to do any of that. Well, why is that? So number one was the reason they won silently is because they didn't spend a lot of money. It just happened. But why did it happen? Number two, because people were willing to listen and to watch long form content on YouTube. They were already doing it. It was just convenient that guess what? I could go from my, at the time, geopolitics content that I was watching, which could be like 5, 10, 15 minutes. I was really excited when it's like 20 minutes long, right? Talking about, what's happening in the Middle East. To now, I can listen to somebody's 2 or 3 hour podcast on the same platform, hence Joe Rogan, okay? So they didn't have to do anything because the platform was already set up. By the way, going back to the other point, why YouTube continues to win on long form, even though the form factor and the user experience makes sense to do shorts, right? It's just because for so long, this janky way of watching YouTube videos on the YouTube phone app was the way people consume. Like, the behavior was built over a lot of time because there was no other options.
Exactly.
There's no other competition. So why Netflix is making an announcement is because they're spending a lot of money. This is marketing. This is them saying, hey, we're doing this kind of thing. But the thing that I think is going to make them lose, people don't have a behavior of watching or listening to Netflix. We asked Nuclearly this other day. I think a lot of other people can relate to this. If you're going to walk and talk, right? If you're going to listen while you go, you don't think about Netflix. You pop up YouTube because it's almost just become like your media player. Think about that. It is, if you think about how it looks too, it's a media player. It's the same as iPod in 2001. It is just where you play your media no matter what format it is, right? And that's why it wins. And that's why Netflix is not going to win because I know people watch on their phone. That's the craziest thing, that people watch Netflix on their phone, right? I rarely do it. I think a lot of people can relate to that. But on the TV, it's perfect. It's formatted for that. So I've seen this too with a lot of platforms. They want to be something they're not. They're trying to compete for new attention. They have to spend a ton of money. Well, how long is that money going to last?
It depends on, on Netflix?
Like on Netflix.
It depends on how successful they are. And actually, there's a piece of that we'll get to in a second here. I guess for me, I'm thinking about it from a creator's perspective, right? Which is that Netflix is on the hunt now for original content that they're going to try and poach from YouTube.
And
right?
pay for.
So
yes.
A $10 million deal doesn't sound so bad to me, especially if it's for 1 year, right? So if I'm spending 1 year and getting $10 million for it, it's a pretty appealing idea for me. But it shows you how YouTube is kind of a cheat code right now. Number one, you could just build your business on YouTube and it's going to work. But if you have the opportunity to make 10 million, in the case of Joe Rogan, not that everybody's going to be Joe Rogan, 100 million, $200 million. I mean, geez, that's a huge opportunity that you could have as long as you're willing to kind of make that bargain, right?
Yeah.
So there's a whole spectrum of things where you can begin on YouTube and make your all the way to these kind of traditional streaming platforms.
Great. And Joe Rogan did do that.
Yes.
And I was so happy for him.
Yeah.
And then he was so good and successful at that. He did it again, but he went back to the place he started. Let's bring up Ninja, okay? What was a platform that Ninja went to mutually for live streaming gaming content? Twitch is the king, right? What was the other one he went to? Ninja?
Rumble? One of those? Was it Rumble? Or
not Rumble. So Microsoft had a live streaming gaming platform. I forgot what it was, right? Anyways, they paid him like $100 million or whatever. Yeah. Guess what happened to the platform? They had to shut it down.
Yeah.
And then
went
Ninja
back to Twitch.
Go back to Twitch, but also just stayed on YouTube.
Yeah,
what I'm saying is like we've already seen two huge cases with the biggest names in their industry. Ninja was the biggest in the gaming. Joe Rogan was the biggest in the podcast, right?
Yes.
And this is very very similar because it's podcast. They went to other platforms, got the bag, and then they eventually came back to where? YouTube, right? YouTube is where like their home base is, okay? And there's so many other examples of this. So history can teach us some lessons here.
Totally.
And this is why I bring up, well, how much is Netflix willing to spend?
Yeah.
And that is the other question too. And I think this gets hella nerdy. It's not like Netflix has endless cash to burn through. In fact, guess what? People are cutting the cord on Netflix. They're having subscription problems. This might be a thing. We already talked about this one time. What does YouTube have that no other platform has? User-generated content. People are so crazy like me that they're willing to put up content for free with no promise of views or pay, right? And so these other platforms have to pay for it. That is their number one disadvantage. Even if they are a good platform, Netflix, legit. Movies, shows. We were just watching something on Netflix yesterday, okay? Like we use it all the time. But if they have to pay to get more content because that's the type of content people want, or they need more to keep you on longer, well, then that's just like, it's not a good business model. YouTube's business model is the best. They just like know people put up stuff for free, right? Even before your
It's
partner.
resilient for sure, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not denying that this could work to pull, well, number one, creators was go for the bag. I mean, to get 100, YouTube's not paying you that. So go get that, okay? But remember, even if people follow, the hole is still over here at YouTube. And that's why Netflix has to spend a lot of cash or they have to change behavior. And that is the hardest thing to do. That is that's why there's no new social media platforms. Instagram, Facebook, even X is still around, right? Why is X still around even after everything I went through? Because people's behavior, right? How many people said, I'm getting off of X and they've gone back onto X, including myself? I didn't get off for anything. I was just like, hey, this is enough. This is like too good, right? So that's what I'd say about the whole Netflix. This is just another story about another platform spending money. And yes, it'll work for creators. And definitely some people that are fans of those creators might listen to their podcast. But ultimately, YouTube still has the upper hand just because their business model is based off of something no one else can replicate, which is user-generated content. People and creators are willing to put up content for free. And guess what? On top of it, they pay enough to keep you on their long term.
To your point, actually, there's a good section of this article where they talk about how Netflix is specifically trying to compete with YouTube feature for feature, right? So you're right. The number one thing that they don't talk about is the fact that they have to spend money to get people to do this, right? Yep. But there are interesting things that they're trying to parallel. We already talked about adding short form within the Netflix app, which is just crazy for me to think about. But here's what, let's see, who was it? Lucas Shaw says. The worst case outcome for this experiment would be Netflix's experiments in interactive shows or fitness videos. Those are two things they did in the past that failed, and they stopped funding, by the way. Netflix, yeah. The streaming service struck a deal with Nike a few years ago to license fitness videos, but few people watched them, and Netflix wound down the program. Executives at Netflix learned a couple of lessons from that failure that they're trying to apply to podcasts. They concluded that they hadn't licensed enough videos for users to know or care that it had fitness. That's one reason Netflix is seeking a high volume of podcasts, high volume. So YouTube has the upper hand there. The second thing, Netflix's algorithm buries titles that attract small audiences, deeming them unpopular. So the streaming service has to find a way to give podcasts a chance to reach viewers. It wants the video podcast to feel distinct and stand out within its app, because podcasts debut every week, which is a different cadence than most Netflix shows, which drop all at once. This challenge isn't unique. Other Netflix shows like WWE's Raw and the upcoming Star Search also debut weekly. So there's a couple things in there. The algorithm on Netflix is different. They have to fund a bunch of these things. They have these things that they've kind of treated as pet projects, and it's failed in the past. And so that's all to your point. But I will say this. We're talking about on the level of competition between Netflix and YouTube. Let's talk about it on the level of creators, right? Let's bring it down to the creator level. To me, it shows me that number one, first and foremost, you're probably not striking with a deal with Netflix in the first place. But if you're looking to take advantage of the TV opportunity, of course, we're going to be partial to vlogging because we teach a vlogging course. But podcasts are probably the other one that's neck and neck with vlogging as one of the first things that's going to front run everybody and be one of the biggest content styles that's easy to create for the TV era of YouTube. And so to me, that's saying, number one, get out there and create some kind of long form content, like Jesus, do this thing, right? Make sure you actually putting yourself out there, but also that there is this upside, where potential upside, depending on what your perspective is, whether you like Netflix or YouTube, where you could reach those things in the long term and get a, potential $10 million payout.
It's a definite upside, but it's a small one for a small amount of creators.
Yes,
and what
that's
I'm
true.
trying to say is, I said, well, you mentioned how YouTube likes to give everyone a chance, right? Giving attention.
Yes.
Versus Netflix will only surface the most popular things. Well, let's talk about the most popular podcast. I don't even know if it is for sure. Joe Rogan's podcast started as like a dumb little webcam show, okay? It was just him smoking with his buddies, comedians in a dark room. Jamie, his producer, who is the best podcast producer, sorry, usually in the world. Guess what? He was on camera too, commentating. Like, he was just like a guy there. I think he knew a little more of the technical stuff. That wouldn't have happened today with Netflix. Is Netflix giving him a check? No. That is the power. And, to be fair, it wasn't YouTube at the beginning. It was like whatever podcast was. Sometimes you don't know who the next star is. This is where another advantage that YouTube has. They have all the future stars because they give you a chance, and it goes back to money. A little bit of AdSense just to cover some of those bills, right? Hey, you got a viral video? Guess what? We're going to share in the wealth, okay? You have to get to that point for Netflix to even consider you, okay? That is the problem. They are thinking they're being smart about it. Hey, we're going to pay all these top dogs or whatever, okay? Yeah, good for those people, and the audience might follow them. But that's the point. YouTube not only has user-generated content, they're like the ultimate agency finding the new talent, the new superstars, right? Imagine if like you got a young Tom Brady walking onto the field of the Seahawks. I don't know, that sounds like weird. And you were like YouTube. You're like, you know what? We're going to give you a chance. We have all these different leagues you can play in, right? And then boom, you go from like the like G League to, C League to, you get what I'm saying? Well, on Netflix, they don't even have that. You have to just be the top dog. You have to be the best of the best. You rarely see something like Amateur Hour on Netflix. I've never seen anything like that. Have you?
No, I mean, there's some level at which there's some like low production stuff, but nothing that's like truly like.
And even
cute.
Then, it'd be hard. Yeah, it's hard for them to surface. It's funny. These small audiences for these small creators sometimes turn into big audiences for superstar creators.
Yeah, that's true.
And that journey is really important. And I will say this, as a creator that's biased to YouTube, there's a little bit of loyalty for YouTube.
Yeah.
That is another thing that's kind of interesting. You do kind of see that even with the bag, right? It's like, say your bag gets paid out and you do really well, but then the platform you went to sold out or just shut down. What do? We go back to YouTube. It's not just because it's lucrative. It's not because that everyone's there. We're kind of loyal to them. It's like,
you trust them.
We're literally coming back home and it feels good. It's just where we need to be. Okay. So anyways, I want to give a shout out to John because we've got people listening to this on the live stream version. And are we going to answer a question?
We will, but let me get to the last topic for the show, which is that I want to go deeper on the fact that podcasts are making a big deal, which is that YouTube, it has been announced. There's been some reporting this week that YouTube is behind the scenes looking at trying to compete directly with late night TV shows like Stephen Colbert. So this is Peter White from Deadline. He says, McLaughlin, who recently appeared on the show, serves as a bridge between what he calls the old Hollywood establishment and what the Google-owned service, YouTube, is calling New Hollywood. So internal to YouTube, they're calling this kind of next phase of the TV era, they're calling it New Hollywood.
Wow.
I know, kind of interesting. So maybe we're onto something. But he continues, Royal Court, which is, I think is Brittany Broski's show. Royal Court is a medieval-themed talk show that sees Broski, who became famous for her 21-second take on kombucha, interview celebrities like Brie Larson, let me just continue down here, Charlie XCX, and more. Broski also revealed that Paul Mescal would be joining the show later this fall. Broski said that she wanted to create a show that combined Game of Thrones and Sean Evans' Hot Ones. Quote, this show began as a kernel of an idea. I love Game of Thrones and I really love Hot Ones. So I wanted to combine the two with how comfortable Sean Evans makes people feel. He makes them feel seen. And then I wanted to combine this with this over-the-top whimsical element to it. Thus, we have Royal Court, which started in my spare bedroom, end quote, she said. The series, which premiered in July 2023 with Peck, is one of a number of shows that YouTube is embracing as it looks to promote new creators. Talk shows, such as Hot Ones, which it gave a big Emmy push earlier this year, and Good Mythical Morning, hosted by Rhett McLaughlin and Link Neal, are some of the current focus of the Google-owned company, is also looking to ramp up in its promotion of certain stand-up specials over the coming year. They're talking about an event that all these people were at that were kind of the beginning of something that YouTube is looking at to go head-to-head with traditional broadcast TV and the formerly lucrative late night shows. So you look at things like The Late Show with Stephen Colbert and how it's canceled. People gave it a total political spin. I tend to think that it's 100% money and is indicative of the broader thing that's about to happen.
Money influencing people's decisions?
Here's Google's perspective. Adam Stewart, VP Sales at Google. This is the crazy thing. We're not even talking about YouTube anymore. We're talking about the overlords of YouTube. It's Google people now that are this interested and are trying to make this push. They say they're calling the event, this is all inside baseball, by the way, a coronation. They literally are calling this event that all these people went to a coronation rather than a premiere party. Quote, we're standing here in this estate, which definitely typifies old Hollywood. I love this place. It's fabulous, but it's not about old Hollywood. This is about new Hollywood and the new mainstream and everything that is happening on YouTube, he says. Things are getting real. So on one end, you've got Netflix trying to poach all these podcasts away. And on the other end, YouTube's saying, who cares? We've got people posting these podcasts for free and hours. I think I read somewhere there's like billion hours of content or something like that every single day. It's crazy. Then they turn their head and they say, we're going to slay the actual beast, which is broadcast TV. We're taking down the late night shows. We're taking down the traditional comedians, and we're elevating YouTubers. I'm not just saying creators, YouTubers specifically, to that level, trying to get them Emmys, trying to get them, I think, funding to some degree, and trying to make them smart, as big as broadcast TV.
That's one of the things that Netflix did really well was they won Emmys and Grammys, I think, right?
Yeah, they've won.
Okay.
I think they've won Golden Globe. Not Golden Globes.
Emmys.
Yeah, Emmys and Oscars. Is what
Oscars,
I meant to say.
yeah. Which gives them a lot of notoriety, and they did a great job on it. So Netflix doing this is one thing that YouTube is doing right, which is like now, hey, how do we support our people to do the same thing? But this is how I look at that whole situation. Remember how I was like joking about myself creating cute videos in time getting views, right?
Yes.
YouTube was cute to Google.
Yes.
YouTube was this acquisition years ago for this platform that people just watch for fun. And it definitely grew, but guess what? It ain't cute no more. Not only is Google recognizing that shorts is lucrative to the point where they're ramping it up. Guess what? Head honcho's coming in. It's like, hey, guess what? Oh, it's like a 2 or 4 for each short. Let's get it up to 8.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that day I felt it. Like the CEO of Google's like, we're not even kidding around. We're just going to really ramp this up because guess what? It's the only thing making us money. And this is a bigger problem at Google. What has happened in the last 2 years that's affecting Google's bottom line?
ChatGPT.
AI, all these competitive AI platforms, ChatGPT being number one. When you type in a question and it gives you the answer, that actually kind of like cuts Google at the knees and makes it so that their whole model isn't working, but not on YouTube. People still search and they want YouTube content, okay? Because that's where the creators are, okay? So now, guess what? Surprise, surprise. They want to elevate these cute creators on this cute platform to Hollywood status.
Yes,
okay?
exactly.
They're like, hey, it's on like Donkey Kong. You guys proved yourself, and now we're going to put in a little bit of money. We're going to give you the resources. What creators don't know, because I know this about this community, they feel so prestigious. They're like, oh my gosh, finally I get my moment. People, when they come to my events, for example, creator events and YouTube sponsor, it's like the biggest opportunity for them that they're being recognized. Little do they know, I know this, the creator's more important than the platform.
Yes.
Because guess what? They're paying the creators money to go onto their platforms. Netflix for podcasts, Spotify for other, creators or whatever, okay? So this is just YouTube in a much bigger way, not direct way, right? Through Google, like, hey, we're going to elevate the whole platform. Hence why we're going to focus on creators and making them celebrities.
Yes,
okay?
exactly.
So it's just proving what I think a lot of creators know, or I definitely know in my heart, I've been recognized forever, that creators is what makes YouTube special. That's what's kind of funny, because YouTube would never want to acknowledge that in the early days, because there was more content on YouTube than just what creators were creating. The difference was you fell in love with the creator. You became a super fan. You habitually watched their show, in the case of my wife, every single day. The only shows that were like that was late night news. We even just said, like, just recently, Love Island is on Hulu. What is that?
I don't know what it's on necessarily, but
there just wasn't shows you could watch every single day and kind of like build this connection with. Creators did it like it was like nobody's business. Okay, so fast forward to today. Now you're like, hey, we want to make these people legit Hollywood, superstars to compete against traditional Hollywood. Doesn't surprise me. And guess what? It's just the beginning, because that's the thing. I always joke like, hey, YouTube doesn't have to pay creators. This is why Netflix is paying $100 million, but YouTube doesn't. Eventually, they are going to have to do something, though.
Yes.
And the only way they do it, because they actually have a policy, they don't like to like pick and choose or whatever. And they had this whole debacle with, I don't even know what it was called, when they tried to pay celebrities to be on YouTube. So they're just like a little bit more wiser in how they approach things. But I think the one thing that YouTube is doing well is making the platform better.
Yeah.
Because if you make the platform better, work the way it's supposed to, it's going to serve not just the creators, but the new user who is creating content and just wants a chance at bat. And that is the environment that is a smart play versus just slapping $100 million onto a creator. I kind of said this like 6 months ago. It's like they should do more of that. I think what would be better is, and they used to do this, and I don't know why they stopped doing it, smaller paychecks to way more creators, right? Like really invest in their production. They used to do that, help pay for gear or whatever. And Roberto Blake, shout out to him. He actually said something on this huge YouTube rant. It's like, if I was CEO for a day, this is what I do. One of them was reopen the YouTube spaces. They had these studio spaces all over. He's like, you need to reopen those to give creators access to studio equipment that they can't otherwise afford. Really smart, because guess what? YouTube's saying they're kind of doing that. Well, they already had a mechanism to do that, which was the YouTube spaces. These are like big production rooms or buildings in different major cities, so that like the average creator could go in there and shoot like a scene for their movie.
You say that, but I mean the Google like VPs are saying this is a coronation. So I think that YouTube basically has gotten so big that they've reopened the idea of maybe paying off these bigger shows in order to get them the kind of exposure that they need in order to be even bigger than they ever had. I totally agree with what you're saying in terms of getting people lower access, but I mean, this is a great opportunity to talk about Vlogging Academy, because we think that you don't necessarily need it. The bigger opportunity is not just at this top end. We've talked a lot about the battle between Netflix and YouTube. Yeah. We've talked a lot about the battle between YouTube and traditional TV. But the reality is that it's not. That's all up high, kind of pie in the sky, big opportunity talk. This opportunity extends all the way down to the people who are just beginning on YouTube for the very first time, because most people haven't realized that YouTube is this thing yet. If you're listening to this right now, have an advantage over everybody else. And if you want to take advantage of the biggest opportunity ever on YouTube, the best way that we think you can do that is publish a lot, post a lot, and post longer videos. And that we think that the best way and the easiest way to post those longer videos is by vlogging using our new vlogging method, which you can learn more about at vloggingacademy.com. Our thanks to students of Vlogging Academy for helping make this show possible. Let's go ahead and get to some Ask CSP, the inaugural version of this, which is Ask Creator Secrets Podcast. This is where we answer questions on the show from creators about being a creator. The very first one is from our boy Cortese. I'll go and answer from this, read from this. My question is, how does a creator figure out their worth? Also, when should a creator honestly look into getting an agency? So you can have a team handling the business side of things and the creator can just handle the creative side. I think this is a beautiful question. It's something that you and I have talked about endlessly in our time over the last couple of years as we thought through the opportunity of this new YouTube platform. So tell us what you have to say about that, Benji. How do they figure out their worth and when should they join an agency?
Really good question to always be evaluating what you're worth to the, creator economy. What's the market value of one of your posts, especially because the reason someone would ask this question, how much should I charge for brand deals? Okay. The reason this is important to do, but it's not easy to do, is because what if you're worth $1 million today? How the heck would you even know?
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of people that can even tell you this. Okay. So if you're charging $100, but you're worth $1 million, well, man, anything below, I don't know, $800,000 is totally undercutting yourself. Okay?
Totally.
So the real goal is to raise your worth as much as possible at the beginning and go full time. I know this is a totally different way of answering this because this is a problem. You really don't know what your value is until you give it your all. Everything you're doing right now is if you have a job or you got another business, maybe you got something else you're doing that you hate doing, so you only spend a minimum amount of time. Well, get to a point where you've got a good baseline, right? Because if you're worth enough for a brand to want to work with you and you're not full-time, well, imagine what you'd be worth if you were full-time.
Yeah.
You got to this point, okay? This is for everybody. This is the bigger problem that you need to solve, not like what is my worth and when do I sign with the agency? It's like, hey, get full-time first. This is what I would say. Before joining an agency, you need to go full-time. Because when you're full-time, because the other thing too is, what if you don't need an agency?
Yeah, that's
what
true.
if you don't absolutely need an agency, but then you join an agency and they take a huge cut? Maybe they actually don't do a good job. They could make your life a living hell, okay? Get full-time, whether it's as a solopreneur by yourself or maybe you've got an assistant. The route is different for everybody else, okay? But there is a way you can kind of understand your worth once you get to that. So what I would say is charge the most you can for whatever you do. Understand that you are valuable as a creator because creating content is one of the hardest things to do for a business. That's not the business that they're in. They're in creating products, delivering services or building a brand or whatever, okay? And then secondly, you want to go full time. Okay. That's why do as much. So in addition to raising your worth, you want to do as much stuff to make money. Yeah. Okay. So that you can do what? Quit your job. So it's those three things. Okay. The next thing too is, how do you actually understand your worth? Let's just answer that question. And of course, a lot of times people want to know that's for brand deals. There's three ways I like to do it. Number one, you're only worth what you did before. You're only as good as your last at bat. So whatever you charged last time, that's what you're worth, right? In terms of a post. And then you multiply that by how many times you can do a sponsored post. So this is what's kind of interesting about that. What if you've never done something? Well, you're worth nothing yet. What do I tell all creators? Well, then it's arbitrary. Pick a fucking number.
Yes, seriously.
Throw a dart or whatever, right? It's funny how many times I'll tell people to pick a number, but but pick the highest number.
Yeah.
It's not even the highest they could charge. That's the highest they believe they're going to get. 9 out of 10 times they get that number. That's what's crazy. I always second guess myself. Maybe I should push a little bit harder. But why do I say that? You're only as good as your last at bat. So if that's a high number for you, you're already happy with it. Happiness has a lot of energy with it, okay? Yeah. And guess what you can do? You can always raise it later, okay? 100% everybody raises it later, okay? So your last at bat, that's where you're worth. Secondly, what do I tell all these other creators to do? Ask other creators who do what you do or the closest you can get to it. This is why creators getting together. This is why I host creator events. Surprise, surprise. I'm trying to do all these creators a favor. Even if I'm not in the conversation, I know that when one creator over here and this other creator, maybe they're in the same niche, go and have coffee together the next morning, they're like, oh, you charge that much? Yeah, I do charge that much. How much you charge? Oh, I don't charge that much. Oh, you should charge more. Oh, maybe we both should be charging.
Yeah.
That actually happens almost every single time. So ask other creators. Better than asking other creators or generally someone in these, someone that's worked with that brand, okay? So number one is your last at bat. Secondly is what do other creators charge? The last one is what is the market rate? What is the market rate? This one's kind of interesting because actually that kind of goes along with what other creators charge, okay? I take that back. What other creators charge is kind of the market rate, okay?
Sure, yeah.
The market rate is important because you want to know what other brands are paying for that, hence why you talk to creators, okay? But there's more to it. It's not just talking to creators. So my point was talk to other agencies, right? Talk to people like me. Talk to other people that do this for a living. Now, what's funny is you'll find a lot of managers will gatekeep this information because they want you to what? Sign up with your agency. Hey, sign up with me and I'll tell you everything, right? They don't want to tell you a lot. They'll be like, oh, it's this and that. It's like very nuanced or whatever. It's like BS. You know the answer, right? You better know the answer. That's the thing. If you're going to sign up with somebody, they should know right away. They should know whatever. And if they don't tell you, well, there's a reason they're not telling you. They think their information is too valuable, whatever, okay? So number one, your last at bat. Secondly, market rate. That both comes from other creators and the marketplace managers, agencies, whoever, okay? Third one is, what do you want to charge? It doesn't have to be what you can charge. It's what you want to charge or what you know your worth is. Remember I said the $1 million? There are people that will pay $1 million for a creator, even if they're brand new, just because they are so great at connecting with the right audience. By the way, this is just talking about brand deals. It could be for anything. Signing with Netflix, signing with this agency, right? Like you should just, the only way to, and you know what's crazy? All creators who start this nutso thing of being a creator on any platform, including YouTube, they actually do have this number. But it's too high for them to like believe it can be a reality. But they're like, you know what? I know I'm worth more than this full-time job. I know that I should not be slaving away in my family's business. I know that I should be doing more than what that is not a number. That's like a vision. That goes the third one. Why I put that out there is that should always be part of the equation to know what you're worth. Because if you're doing that, you're living up to a higher standard that maybe you're not at right now. But if you always build towards that, guess what happens? Your content gets better.
Yeah.
Your ability to engage with creators gets better. You become better. And guess what? A brand will pay more to someone that's better than somebody that sucks. This is why hustle is the number one metric that I look at when I determine what's the value of a creator. How hard are you willing to work? Even though I think it's crazy that people do 5 to 8 to 10 pieces of content a day, guess what? The greatest do the most work.
Yeah.
Period. The greatest do the most work. Because I know after a year of that, shit pretty damn good. Right? You know, like everyone always talks about views, engagement, subscribers or followers. But what about the ability to like be told, hey, I want you to talk about this and say these lines and you can just fucking do that. How does that happen? There are some people that are naturally talented at that, but 90% of creators that can just do it is because they've been on camera so much. They like see an idea, right? Oh, shoot. Okay, that's happening. Okay. Hit record. Hey guys, so today Starbucks is, you already know what I'm talking about. You are so damn good at the thing that is most valuable for a brand, which is creating the content in addition to the influence, okay? How valuable is that? I don't know. That's kind of up to you. You have to always be re-engaging that question. So those three things. What's your last at bat? That's why you got to do stuff and got to do a lot and always kind of push. What is the market charging? What are other creators in niche charging? This is why we should get together and be like, hey, we could charge a lot more, right? And then what's like the marketplace value you at in general? And then third one is, what do you think you should be charging? What is your actual value? You do that, you'll be way more accurate at the number you're giving out than just like picking one for whatever, unless it's your first deal. If it's your first deal, you just got to get the deal.
Yeah, and the only thing I want to add to that is exactly what you said before, which is that I think there's a huge value in, even if you're not full time, getting several deals over maybe even over the course of a year, depending on how things are going, under your belt before you sign with an agency. Because how are you going to know whether the agent's doing the right thing for you if you haven't gone out there and kind of fought for yourself? Now, if you then go sign up with an agent and they're getting you more money, well, that's great. You know, that maybe that's the kind of thing that you want. But you have to remember there's a lot of risk with letting someone else run your business, or, you know, be the kind of salesperson for your business.
I should probably answer that part of the question.
Yeah, tell me more. You said going full time.
When do you know you should sign with an agency? Is when you believe the agency will help you move faster and grow bigger.
It's just like any other person that you're hiring, right? Is if it's something you don't like to do, or you know someone else can do it better, that's the time to
See, my whole thing is you should be building a team as soon as possible. It's not always an agency. Usually it's like just an assistant, or say you do production at your house, like you're a cook, a dishwasher, or like an assistant cook. It all depends on the type of content. It could be a shooter editor. It's whatever you need help with. Usually the easiest way to know what you should hire first is what's the most annoying in your life. Hire that out, okay? What doesn't help? What actually creates more friction, right? And then secondly, a team or an agency. It's when it helps you have more peace in your life, which makes it so that, you know, you have the right mindset to create content, more time in your day, and ultimately make you more money. Maybe that agency has the ability to go to way more brands. Maybe they're connected with other, you know, advertising agencies that like what can bring you more brand deals. Maybe they're better at negotiating. Maybe they know more at, you know, this game of understanding your value. They've done it a lot of times. Do they have experience? You know, that's my goal, is to serve creators. You know what's kind of funny about my method is I put myself kind of out of business right up front, right? But I do that for a reason, meaning I give away a lot of free information. Why?
Oh, totally.
Why? Because I know that if I help you get going, who are you going to trust more? The guy that helped you at the beginning when he believed in you, when nobody else did, including your own self, or the agency that comes into town like a Netflix, like, hey, here's $100 million when you're like actually worth way more than that.
Yeah.
It's just very logical. This is why people come back. This is a full circle moment. Why do people come back to YouTube? Because YouTube believed in you when you're first starting. When literally you're just launching a channel that had 0 subscribers, and you could sign up as a partner after a certain amount of views, and boom, they're paying you. Your first check, only $100. That's better than not getting paid until you're a superstar, right? And then finally getting offered something, okay? Nah, YouTube's like, you know what? You're willing to put up a video? We'll put your video out to one person. Sounds stupid when you say it that way. But dude, it only takes one person from you to go from like not known at all to literally becoming the most famous person in your niche. And that is why YouTube is important. That's my method for helping creators, okay? So when you talk about finding an agency, that's what you should look for. Who's going to help you do those 3 things? Have more peace in your day, so you have better creative bandwidth, who's going to save you time, and who's going to help you make more money. How that happens is going to be different depending on the agency. But think about this. Who do you believe will actually help you? Because guess what I have seen? Tons of agencies that just screw it all up. Screw you up and screw up all the deals. And then you would have been better off just been by yourself. Because there's a lot of dirty secrets about agencies that a lot of creators don't know. That's a whole nother podcast we'll save for later. But if you've been a creator with multiple agencies, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes they're there just for what?
The money.
The money.
The money.
I'm here because I want to help creators succeed long term, make this sustainable. So you're not just talking about wins a month from now. We're talking about wins a decade from now. I want to see you grow from 0 to 1 million subscribers. Not just like make me a little bit of money and then I just cycle you through and get the new, right? I know that creators will have ups and downs. I'm going to be with you through the ups and downs. That's why the creator company is built differently, because we actually help you build your creator business and develop you as a creator versus just literally focus on the brand deals. That's what's been missing with so many agencies. Now, that's like sounds like a huge pitch for my agency. But what I'm saying to you, the creator out there that's listening to this, is don't even start with considering the agency and who's going to work for you and who's there for the right reasons. Just think about yourself, right? Develop yourself, make yourself most valuable so you know your worth, and then who respects that the most. Guess what? You don't need a freaking coach or an expert to tell you that. We all have a gut instinct. When you work your ass off to build something, you know who respects it genuinely versus somebody that's just out there like a shark trying to get their payday. We call it a real one, right? You're a real one. Or old people like me call it, you're the salt of the earth, right? You're a mensch. You're somebody that, I can trust, that has integrity or whatever. You don't need to read a book on having that instinct. You will know. Listen to that gut feeling. The red flags, they'll come right at the very beginning. There'll be this one text message or this one way they talk to you. Like, oh, damn, this is not what I want. Boom. And then there'll be other people like, oh, I understand you. And you know that they understand you.
With that, we'll give our thanks to the students of Logging Academy who make this show possible, and we will see you next week.